你说一句话，你证明你是中国人。
Yeah.
That means say something to prove that you're Chinese. Now, what you're about to see is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, these are Uyghur children, okay? And they're being told to say something to prove you're Chinese, okay?
Let's see what they force them to say.
Well, yeah, what do they say? I bet you it's going to be wonderful.
请你们用一句话证明你是中国人。
为中华之崛起而读书，
用心生于华夏。我们应该要筑牢毛主席说过的一句话，要好好学习，天天向上。如果心里有颜色，那就是中国红。
台湾是中国不可分的一部分。
我骄傲，我是中国人。
新疆是中国领土不可分割的一部分。
好好学习，天天向上是我们的职责。
庆幸自己生长在中国。古老的东方有一条龙，叫做中国。
Yeah, so you're teaching Uyghur children to say Taiwan is an inseparable part of China. That proves they're Chinese. And to say that Xinjiang is an inseparable part of China. That proves you're Chinese.
This is actually a instrumental part of what a genocide means. It's when you delete someone's identity, cultural identity, you refuse to allow them to use their own native language to study or even speak, by the way. There's signs of a punishment for people that speak Uyghur as opposed to Mandarin Chinese. And then you force them to learn Han Chinese ethnic slur, basically, like ethnic lore about why the Han Chinese race is amazing and why Mao Zedong and the Han promotes the Han Chinese race.
I got a good idea.
#1.
Maybe America should go to the Native American reservations and go up to the Native Americans and say something to prove you're American.
Imagine that.
And then they have to say the invasion of the Iraq War was totally justified.
I love that the white Europeans colonized our lands. Yeah. Imagine that's what they forced them to say.
Saying.
Yeah, correct.
It's and whatever, man. That's just kind of the way it goes in China.
Yeah.
It's poor kids, man.
I know.
It's not correct. Like, it doesn't matter. When I was a child growing up, I was growing up during the apartheid era of South Africa, when I was a young child of that age, I wasn't forced to say anything about supporting the shitty government back then.
No.
You know, you're a child. You're learning how to finger paint and, read and write and stuff. You're not sitting there saying, like, oh, Taiwan's an inseparable part of China. What the hell? They're not even anywhere close to Taiwan. They know nothing about Taiwan.
They don't even know about Taiwan.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're forced to say, we celebrate China. Oh, if we're going to celebrate China, it's got to be Chinese red. Like, that's the color that represents us. I'm proud to be Chinese. Mao Zedong said we study hard.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Isn't it awful?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got something along those lines too, but now it's not Uyghur children, it's just normal children. Well, children in the more rural parts.
Oh, remember, I just want to remind everyone, remember Xi Jinping eradicated all poverty.
Of course, poverty is completely
let's have a look.
eradicated. Okay, let's see what this is all about.
再来一遍好不好？中国出了个习大大，唱。中国出了个习大大。
I just wanted to interrupt this, by the way, to say basically the the teacher's saying, like, we're going to sing this, that China gave birth to Uncle Xi, basically, or Xi Jinping, Grandpa Xi. Okay, you got these kids, for those of you who can't see it, sitting on buckets, standing in like a dirt, disgusting, really bad rural school.
Right.
Okay, and what you're going to see, what they mention is Xi Dada, which means Grandpa Xi, basically, and then his wife, which is Peng, whatever her name is, Peng something.
Peng Mama,
yeah. Peng Mama, which is,
this case, yeah.
So they're basically taught to glorify Xi Jinping and his wife. Take a look here.
Pull up a bucket, everyone. Poverty's over.
Yeah.
It's all done.
By the way, the guy who very kindly put the subtitles in for me, was having trouble understanding because it's a rural dialect.
It's also like blown out audio.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, but basically the kids are saying like, China's so great, gave birth to she is the ultimate man for any woman to have, and his
it's
wife,
suitable for everyone.
His wife is the most appropriate woman for any man to have.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing. It's kind of pretty damn disgusting. You know what I mean,
dude? The absolute hypocrisy here. Yeah. Again, you're talking about a situation where at least Li Keqiang, the soon-to-be former premier of China, he said, "Listen, there's 600 million people living in poverty here."
Yeah.
Despite what the poverty alleviation campaign, despite what the results are, there's 600 million people that are struggling to survive.
Yeah,
and that is still the case, right? Yeah. I mean, this is like 2019, I think, like right before the pandemic. But situation hasn't changed. In fact, the economy is in a bit of a downturn.
It says on the board in the background.
So what you have to understand is that when Chairman Xi stood in front of everyone and said, we have completely eliminated poverty, remember what we talked about actually was that it then just became illegal to talk about poverty.
Yeah.
It then became a situation where, well, he said it's over, so we're not allowed to show this kind of stuff. So I actually see this video as quite brave. The kids are forced to sing this song about Xi Dada and Peng Mama, right? And actually what's happening here is the teacher who's taking the video is showing the conditions of the classroom.
Look, there's no window. There's bricks instead of a window.
This is a communist anthem to say thank you to Xi Jinping and his wife.
There's propaganda above the
big
blackboard.
Chalkboard,
The ceiling is collapsing and falling in on itself.
It's a dirt floor.
It's disgusting environment. The children are sitting on plastic buckets or standing because there aren't enough chairs.
Yep.
Okay.
So again, you're having children replicate anthems about why Xi Jinping is so great, and basically saying thank you to Xi Jinping for all of this wonderful country that's been provided to them in this environment.
Yeah. So the fact that the teacher is actually showing the surroundings is like you said, it's pretty brave. It's to show that this is all just a bunch of crap, and these poor indoctrinated children are just being taught this nonsense to worship a fat middle-aged man.
I want just a little insight from our perspective, because we traveled extensively around rural China, is that in rural China, propaganda is pushed even more.
Yes.
And like that great clip we have is we're riding along this dirt road, and there's people everywhere, and this little girl's holding a rat that the family's going to eat later. There's kids covered in dirt walking down, sharing
barefoot
buckets of like very cheap noodles that would cost less than 1 RMB, walking around. Barely any running water, right? In a treacherous environment.
There's no electricity.
No electricity, right? So listen, you have a banner with Xi Jinping just clapping at the top of this muddy road, right? Yeah. And these people have to look at this, and when they go to school, they go to that in that area of Guizhou. It would look very similar. These classrooms would look just like this. You go in there.
It's freezing, by the way.
It's freezing.
That's why they're all
dressed
just in so much clothes here. So many clothes.
Yeah, so many clothes. So. You go into these classrooms and you see what the reality is. And what actually happens is they're mandated to push propaganda even more, because those people, they want to make sure they fall in line. They want to make sure from a young age that they don't really know any better and that everything that they have is a blessing.
I think it's to try and override their current awareness of their situation, because you're like, holy shit, life sucks. But meanwhile, they're being told China is the greatest country in the world, the best leader. And so you kind of look around and you think, well, if this is the greatest, I'm privileged then. Yeah. The rest of the world probably sucks in comparison.
It's the North Korea logic. Yeah. And it works because of the intranet that they have. And these kids will probably never end up, going too far in life. So you don't have anything to compare it to.
Definitely not far from their little village or whatever. No. And like you said, having been through the poorer parts of China, we can 100% confirm that this kind of thing is legit and true. Yes, and it's not a small amount. It's everywhere. So that's one of the things that motivates us to do what we do, because when we see the propaganda coming out of China all the time, especially the other white monkey foreigner shills that go out there and say, look how great China is, look how poverty alleviation has worked, everyone's happy and rich, and everything's taken care of by the government. We know that to be absolutely demonstrably false, and that's something that gives us a hell of a lot of motivation to continue what we're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.